What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to a new Alphastar cast. Today we have Alphastar versus a GrandMaster Terran player on a new repugnant CLE, and we will be starting with our GrandMaster player moving out immediately with an SCV. Most likely we'll be going for some kind of proxy barracks. Let's see what the second SCV will do. We'll stay at home, at least for now. The rally point seems to be on the mineral line. So most likely going to be a single proxy Rex with a gas followed quickly. Oh, so we have a little bit of a buggy texture over there. Oh, a little bit. Jesus. Yeah, we have Mr. Alphastar. What is he opening with? Just a gate gas into a regular probe scout. We'll be stealing some minerals as well. Now this Reaper is going to be real close. Double gas, of course, follow up from this. We'll open with a Reaper going to factory, and then command center and starport, or starport and then command center. Anything is possible. Depends a bit how he will basically spill up his SCVs, how many will be mining gas, and if he pulls any guys out of gas. Now, I'm curious to see if Alphastar will react. Yes, he actually will. He sees the lack of a barracks in the wall, and as a response gets a second gate, a zealot, and a cyber core. Now, usually this kind of supply blocks you at 23, unless you get a very fast pylon. Yeah, this pylon is too late, so there's going to be a bit of a supply block. Could mean that he will get a second gas as well. A natural seems a bit unlikely to me from any kind of standard perspective. The two gates confuse me a little bit, because if it's off of one gas, the only thing you can really afford off of two gates is adepts. Can't really produce two stalkers at a time while also getting warp gates, so this will have to kind of be adepts. We see the Reaper making its way into the base. As the Nexus goes down, this adept hasn't started a little late because the Nexus still needed to start. That's a good probe my career by Alphastar though. Only losing, okay, 2 probes. Could be better, could be worse. A little bit of a wall definitely would have helped here, as the Zealot is already out, trying to chase that Reaper. Actually, if you have a Zealot and you lose 2 workers, that's not that hot at all. We have a second Reaper on the way for our GrandMaster Terran player, who is following this up with a factory and a tech lab, straight into a starport. We have the SCV going, moving back home, as the first Reaper will fall, and 3 workers have gone down. Won't be able to get another worker, and most likely won't be able to get in with this Reaper anymore. But our Terran player got some good info. I mean, he knows it's a single gas, so there's not going to be any Stargate tech. Really the only tech viable at this point, I think, is Robo or Twilight. I mean, in theory you can get a really late Stargate, but that just sounds pretty bad if you ask me. Like, without a second gas, it's so hard to afford. Another big supply block, by the way, for Alphastar, who has started a pylon and is actually losing another worker to this Reaper. Once again, the Reaper sees still the lack of the second gas. Is going to be a bit surprised by that. If I was the Terran player here, I'd definitely build a bunker, as it just looks extremely scary. I mean, you just see 2 gates. You might be afraid there's like a 3rd gate proxied or something like that. I would be definitely getting ready for some kind of push. But instead we actually see a Viking coming out, no Liberator or anything of the sort. A second Viking. And of course, as I say, it's impossible to get a Stargate. Alphastar gets a Stargate off of a single gas. This is extremely wild. But yeah, the tech is really, really late. Usually you see this kind of tech way earlier. I guess this can only really be Phoenix if it's off of one gas. So you see the 3 adepts that have been built from 2 gates making their way across the map. One adept accidentally finishes its shade and will die to the Cyclone. Depots will get lifted, and I think if he chases with the Cyclone, he definitely can get another unit. Yes, Zealot also dies. Second Cyclone joins. Oof, this is a really bad shade by Alphastar. What is he doing? If the Terran lifts his depots, no, he doesn't. Even without lifting the depots, he's completely fine. Kills 3 adepts, 1 Zealot. Unit lost right now. 800 resources lost for our Protoss player against 200 for the Terran. And we see Alphastar going into a chrono boosted Phoenix, then realizing he can't actually afford a secondary Phoenix because he doesn't have enough gas. He is taking 4 gas finally, but I mean, having a single Stargate unit at the 5-minute mark is a little bit pathetic. Like, this is so extremely late, and you see how much anti-air there is already. Like, there's 2 Cyclones and 2 Vikings. usually you actually have more or an even amount of Stargate units as your opponent has Cyclones and Vikings. Now this is a little bit of a mismicro by a Grandmaster player who basically should have lost that Cyclone. He doesn't, but he definitely should have. We see Alphastar reacting to this Viking drop, or Viking flyby basically. Viking gets a single worker, I believe, and then gets lifted by Phoenixes. We will get cleaned up, and we see MECH is the style of choice for our Grandmaster player. He also already has a 3rd CC on the way. So we'll most likely be going into a longer game. Not going to be seeing any kind of 2-base MECH push. You see this Mew is idling his life away. Finally realizes, starts getting to work. And 3rd base will be going down for Alphastar as well, who's also adding a robotics facility, which I guess means he will be going into Immortals. He saw that there was an upgrade researching on the tech lab, so it's kind of an indicator for MECH. But of course it's very difficult to say. Sometimes it's just a Cyclone with the upgrade push, which I just forgot the name of. And then they'll go into bio anyway. But right now Alphastar will realize, hey, this is going to be MECH, as he sees a second factory basically in his vision. Kills a couple of workers, and this should cost him a Phoenix, I believe. Barely doesn't. It's very close though. First armory is going down as well. We don't have a single forge yet for Alphastar, who's, after scouting MECH, goes into Robo Bay and continues Phoenix production. Huh. I don't quite understand that. The Colossus generally kind of sucks against tanks. It's okay against Cyclone Hellion, but if it's anything but Cyclone Hellion, it just is really bad, honestly. So we have Vikings getting targeted down by these Phoenixes. 3 Vikings fall for free, or well, for free, as the Cyclones come in actually. 3 Phoenixes fall as well, so it's a 3 Viking versus 3 Phoenix trade. Make that 4 Phoenixes, and these guys are not properly in the corner. This guy won't be able to get hit, but perhaps once this store finishes or once the extra Vikings come out. No, recall gets used instead. And the Phoenix dies. 4th base is on the way for Alphastar, who's still on 4 gas and continuously producing Phoenix Colossus against the meching Terran. And I thought I had seen it all. Still not a single forge. No Twilight Council, so no charge. No Immortal production and no Archons. Oh, actually there's an Immortal, but just a single one. You need way more than just a single Immortal. I'm very, very surprised by this, honestly. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen here. As another Phoenix bites the dust after shooting down the low HP Viking. A lot of workers are being built. Gases are a little too late, because this base will be saturated pretty quickly as we continue Salad Warpins. It's funny because the Protoss supply looks pretty good, right? And if you weren't paying attention to the unit composition or to the upgrades, you'd be like, well, this looks great for the TOS, but actually the TOS is on a massive timer. Like, the longer this game goes, the better it will get for the Terran player. Like, if he gets like 3-4 tanks out, if he has enough anti-air to deal with the Phoenixes, there's absolutely no way he gets broken by slow Zealots, as these 4 Hellions are doing a bunch of damage as well, going in and sniping some workers. Already got a bunch. We'll be able to get some more. Battery is trying to do some work, but of course 3 Hellions can 3-shot or 1-shot those workers. 14 workers have gone down in total as we continue our Thor production as well from our Grandmaster player. And Alphastar's like, you know what, I killed 4 Hellions. This seems like the perfect time to move out. There is a defensive setup here for the Grandmaster player. There's only a single tank in position. There is some turrets which make the Phoenixes a lot less useful. These Cyclones should be able to put in some work, especially on those Stalkers. Good scans coming out, and this was a good starting trade here for the Grandmaster player, who's very far ahead in the units lost in general. Cyclones are trying to kite backwards, do get swiped down by those Colossus. Good lifts coming on the tanks, still a couple of Thors remaining, as well as Vikings joining the fray right now. I'd love to see an SCV pool as the Zealot count is getting low. There's no Archons for Splash. I actually managed to survive without an SCV pool, so That's a pretty powerful play. Has 3 more tanks in production. Right now, Terran player realized, hey, wait a second, he's playing Colossus. He was preparing for a mass air switch after seeing that many Phoenixes. But right now we'll be mainly going back into an anti-ground army as Alphastar continues his quest for expansion, getting a 5th base at the 10-minute mark already. Very high worker count, still relatively low gas count, and finally that Forge and Twilight will be coming out as he starts swiping down some depots that were being built over here. Now the Terran player, even though he's under constant threat, managed to sneak out the 4th base and actually sends out a pretty powerful Hellion run by. Of course, with the Blue Flame upgrade, we'll be able to 2-shot workers. So didn't get too much on there, got maybe 5 more workers, 6 more workers, which is nice. Another Hellion run by being sent out, and this is really keeping Alphastar busy, which I like. Like, this is the kind of play you need. You need to keep your opponent busy because honestly, the GrandMaster player doesn't have a lot of stuff here at home. As Alphastar decides to move forward, sees the torch, and actually retreats. As the 3 Hellions will be moving into another mineral line, and this time they will be getting some juicy shots on top of those probes. Look at that, whole mineral line going down. 36 workers gone down, so about 17-18 workers have fallen right here. Well, actually bring that total up to like 22, I guess, as a full base just got wiped out. 6 Nexus is on the way, but Alphastar now down to 67 workers, down in income, as of course there's 3 orbitals providing mules, and the 4th base is done for a Grandmaster player as well, who once again loses 4 Hellions, sends out 3 more. Loses 3 Hellions, sends out 4 more, sends out a Lib as well for harassment. Funnily enough, this Lib actually triggers a warp in, and then flies over towards this base as the Hellions come over here. So a little bit of double-pronged harass coming out of the Terran, and Alphastar decides to move back with his Phoenixes to try and put an end to that. As +1 in charge are starting to get researched. That's an upgrade we don't see a lot, of course, for the turret and planetary range. And even though our Terran player has been doing a lot of damage, his supply still feels relatively low. Like, it's only 140 supply. He does have +2 upgrades. Alphastar doesn't even have +1 yet, but he really needs to work on getting a higher supply count, whether that is by getting a slightly higher income. Is he throwing the mules properly? There's quite some mules remaining in the main at least, 3-4. So perhaps for some extra income, could throw them on your 4th base. 2 more Lips are moving out. We'll be heading towards the 6th base, at least one of them. And another warping gets triggered. It's like, hey, wait a second, what is this? Oh, we'll shift click one of those Lips on the 6th bases. We have a big fight happening on the other side of the map, but the Thor's absolutely destroying the Phoenixes. Big recall coming out. Going back to the natural base to deal with this one Liberator. Of course, there's still a Liberator here denying mining as well. And there's another Hellion run by on top of this 3rd base, killing a bunch of extra workers once again. This Terran really is putting on the pain. 78 workers gone down already. And still behind in supply, which just shows how consistently Alphastar has been producing workers and how far ahead he has been economically, and how much further ahead he would have been if his defense was a little better. If we take a look at his vision is garbage. Like, you would want to have a pylon here, perhaps a pylon here, and a pylon here, and then basically with 3 pylons you'd have the whole map covered, which, you know, that sounds like a pretty good deal to me. And instead, Alphastar lost 81 workers at this point already, as another Liberator forces the whole army back. It's annoying that you're losing workers, that's one, but the second thing is that every time this happened, it just relieved the pressure of the Terran, who up until like a minute or 2 ago never really got above 140 supply, as 3 Hellions once again will just be able to snipe an almost infinite amount of workers, it feels like. As 100 workers killed, 103 workers killed. Now, I'm not great at math, but that's a lot of money. It's about 5k down the drain right there, just in probes. So we have Alphastar moving out. This army composition isn't quite what you'd want either. All these Phoenixes are just gonna get splashed on by the Thors, as the Thor count isn't super. Actually, well, 7 is pretty high. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't see these final 2. I thought 4 or 5 Thors, that's okay, but 7 is very high. They'll be absolutely able to destroy any kind of Phoenix count. How many Phoenixes are on the map? 19 Phoenix on the map for Colossus. I mean, turrets are always a great choice against this. Like against both Colossus and Phoenixes, they will be able to dish out a lot of damage. So we have our Terran player moving forward on the map. And now we'll see the Thors in action, sniping down a bunch of Phoenixes. Oh, wrong buttons. As we still have 4 Phoenixes remaining. Before it was 90, so 15 Phoenixes fell in the past 30 seconds as 2 more Liberators will start their journey for harassment once again, or restart it. Alphastar once again on 90 probes, but his supply isn't even maxed. He doesn't have a big bank. He's trying to push forward, but into a tank Thor line. It seems difficult. He just doesn't really have the army to deal with this high Thor count. And he, once again, as a response to seeing 9 or what is it, 8 Thors at this point, he's like, you know what? I think what I really need right now is 6 probes and 2 more Phoenixes. Instead of getting those Immortals, instead of getting those Zealots, of course, a complete mistake. Cyclone's still trying to put in some work. Some big kill numbers on the Thors, and all these kills, or a lot of them at least, are Phoenixes or Stalkers, very expensive units. Like, these Thors have not been harassing probes or killing Zerglings, you know, these guys have been putting in some real work, as once again, Alphastar is moving forward, trying to kite a little bit, but can't really kite against tank Thor, as the range on these guys is just so big. We have a 3 Thor run by, which it's rare to see that, honestly, as they're absolutely blasting this Nexus. So both the 4th and the 5th falling almost simultaneously. We still have the, well, what used to be the 6th base, but now will function as a 4th. We have the 3rd remaining, mining. There's still a couple of patches in the natural as well, but I mean, at this point Alphastar only has 55 workers left. He's playing against I don't even know what this is. Hello? He's playing against well, a 5-4 base Terran, about to be 5 base. He's down 100 supply, and Alphastar will be able to once again clean up these Hellions, but 172 workers have gone down already this game. And that's just a little bit sad. That is just a little bit sad, as Alphastar tries to go in with 1 Immortal, blinks forward, and chargelets are charging in. His army started looking better and better throughout the game, but his supply is just simply too low. His upgrades suck too much. Terran is on +3 and on 1 armor upgrade, while Alphastar is only on +2 attack. And this should be it, as Alphastar falls below the 50 supply mark. A single Void Ray tries to put in some work into those stores. The 3rd has fallen. The main is about to fall to 3 Vikings, and the natural is falling to a decent Thor count, while more orbital commands or more command centers are being built. Still a bunch of tanks at home as well, just defending this area. I think if you're playing against a Protoss that doesn't leave while he only has 2 Colossus left, I'd be getting a little pissed, but you know, of course you can't know it's Alphastar until after the game. So we have 7 workers remaining. The final count will be 200. 200 workers killed. Unbelievable. The wildest thing, like look at the resource loss tab. 4.2k lost for Alphastar, only 1.5k lost for the GrandMaster players. There's like almost a 30k difference. But Alphastar mined way more, will tap out, and GrandMaster player Terran will be able to take this game. A fantastic game. I hope you liked it as well. If you did, feel free to tell me all about it in the comments. Leave a like and don't forget to subscribe, as I'm releasing Alphastar replays every single Friday. We'll be giving my pro player perspective on those, and of course I also have my other shows like Beating GrandMaster with stupid stuff, Road to Rank 1, and Is it Imba or Do I Suck? So, I hope you enjoyed it, and see you boys next time. Bye bye.